What if I told you that I've generated over $10 million without spending a single dollar on ads? Most might think that's impossible, but today I'm breaking it down step by step so that you can apply it yourself, whether you're building an app, scaling a DTC brand, or running client campaigns. If you click off early, you're going to miss the only scalable strategy that's actually working right now. You'll keep burning money on paid ads that just don't convert anymore because you don't have the right systems. So let's get into it. What's the foundation of repeatable growth? What is actually working? First, I want to get into why 99% of UGC campaigns never scale. It's because they have no system to track what works. And if you don't have clear goals, if you don't have a solid plan, it's just like trying to drive without destination. You're driving blind. When doing a UGC campaign, you're going to have to be constantly testing. You're going to have to be constantly on top of what your creators are doing. There's unpredictable growth. There's spikes of views. You need to double down very quickly so that you catch on to trends. And this kind of unpredictable growth might scare you away. The only thing you need to do to make sure that this actually works for you need to set up a system that makes inconsistency impossible. You need a clear structure that aligns strategy with creators so that every piece of content that you're doing is actually intentional. It's driven by data. It's not driven by random decisions, by any Reddit threads, by what that girl said on Twitter. It's data. It's straightforward. An example would be if you're starting a UGC campaign, you should set up an inspiration bank. There's millions of websites where you can see what's working, which brands are printing the most money, which brands are making the most sales on TikTok Shop, for example. Apps that are scaling. You have tons of newsletters, tons of places to go check it out. Few would be Fast Moss and the Daily Virals, for example, for TikTok Shop. So you can see types of videos that are actually converting to sales and getting views. You have Spy Talk where you can filter per format, you can filter per topic. You have the creator search insights. Guys, within TikTok, if you just search for creator search insights, you can see topics that are trending. You can see hot topics. You can see topics that are underserved, right? So that people are searching a lot for, but they're not finding their answers in videos. So you can just tackle those within your niche. You have so much from these platforms that you can already use. So you'd find these examples, then you'd categorize similar videos and actually put them in the same folder in that idea bank that you're creating. And you'd use those as inspiration for creators. Those that you already know work. They've driven sales. Your competitors are doing them, whatever it is, but you already have a direction that you're giving your creators, right? The other thing, you should absolutely have a centralized place like a dashboard to track the performance of each creator, of each account. If you have, multiple accounts or multiple creators. And you have so many tools for this nowadays already. You even have platforms to pay creators automatically, calculate your CPMs. There's no excuse for you to not be setting this up correctly and seeing what your creators are doing so that you can double down on the best ones and cut the worst ones. You should be tracking creators, videos, and installs all in the same place, right? If you have Apps Flyer, Revenue Cat, Stripe, whatever it is, there's always a way to kind of connect that to your reporting system and have it in one place so that when you have viral videos, when you have spikes, you can see if that correlates to installs and you can make decisions on your content if you're going to double down, if you're going to change something based on that data. You're not flying blind, you're not following random trends, and you're not trying things that you don't know are going to work. But the thing is, data alone is just not enough, right? So the next step is actually taking control of your distribution. So I think we can all agree that owning is better than renting. And that's what I think influencer marketing is in a lot of cases, especially for apps. If you're relying on influencer accounts to post your content, it's like renting a billboard you'll never see again. And the whole thing around influencers is also they're super overpriced. You have no real way of knowing who's going to work, who's not, because a lot of their numbers might just not be true. They can also archive videos that have never worked. So it's very hard to see which influencers are worth it unless you have referrals and people who have done it and worked with them that can vouch for them. Otherwise, you'll end up just paying thousands of dollars to one person or to several creators or influencers that you just have no proof that whatever they'll do is going to work. That's why having a creator approach where they actually create accounts that you own, that are under your control, you have the logins, you have everything, and you give them the direction on what they should be doing. It's just so much better because you own the strategy, you own the content, the accounts, you own everything, right? So you're building something that's actually adding value to your company. And it takes so much longer, in my opinion, from my experience, to build the same thing with an influencer marketing approach that it just makes it unwise to go there when you have UGC, right? I'm not saying influencer marketing is bad, by the way. It's just if you're someone who's looking to scale fast, your DTC brand or your app, there's this underpriced distribution right now, which is UGC. Because the way these social media algorithms work, just don't care about the follower base. It's how good your video is, your individual piece of content. So they judge it based on the individual piece of content's performance and not based on your follower count. So the whole influencer marketing strategy is great still. It's just when compared to UGC nowadays, you can scale it so much more and so much faster, and you have much more control over the strategy and over your accounts, your creators, your content, that from what what I've seen is just much better, right? So overall, you will rarely have a great experience with influencer run accounts. Just take full ownership of everything from day one. Go UGC, hire creators that are smaller, have them follow your strategy, your direction, have them create accounts from scratch and own it yourself. Make your company the owner of that IP, right? So these would be brand owned accounts across all platforms. You'd give creators access, right? That's how you frame it. They would have access to it, they would create it, but you own them. Those are your accounts, you have the logins. You'd store everything in a central place like a drive or a sheet, and you'd make sure that in your agreements with them, they're okay with that. And because they're smaller creators, 99% of them are okay with that. Your content should be a reusable asset. It shouldn't be a one-off expense. And we have helped countless apps scale successfully by just making sure that they did not depend on creators or influencers from day one. When it's time to exit, when it's time to scale, those apps, those brands walk away with a lot more value because they're not just handing over content. They're not depending on some influencer. They're handing over a full system, data, and IP that continues to drive growth. So there's actual inherent value to the company by having built this system. But ownership is not the only thing we give them when we work with them. They also gain a proven content system that consistently attracts users and clients without relying on paid ads, which means no more losing money on the long run. Now, I want to say paid ads are great. It's just the order in which you do things. If you have validation organically, if you're able to build a system at scale with UGC, for example, that gives you organic validation, gives you content that's resonating with users in an organic way, when you go and put paid ads behind that, when you go and spark those videos on TikTok Spark ads, when you go and put those videos on Meta, you already know that those videos work. So there's so much more validation. You make the whole process so much more efficient. And by the way, the brands and the apps that scale heavily with paid ads, their biggest bottleneck is creative fatigue. So they need volume of creatives regardless. You building a UGC system as a first thing is just a very good move. So if you're serious about scaling your app with strategies that are actually working, you can book a call using the link in our description and you'll get immediate clarity and can start seeing results like so many others already have. Now, let's get into the next piece, which is the exact type of content you should focus on first. And if I had to guess, this is where 80% of people fail. So this is about finding content market fit. You need to find content market fit before you even think about scaling. But most people just rush this step. Most people think creators are going to start posting for them. They're going to have millions of installs by day 2. That's not how it works. You need to validate which content styles work first. And when you start getting top of funnel, when you start getting traffic, views in your accounts, that's where you start worrying about conversion mechanisms, how your installs are looking. But first, you need to get to content market fit, right? Trying to rush this step is the same thing as if you're starting a business worrying about tax efficiency before getting revenue. It makes no sense because you'll only get to that problem of taxes if you make revenue in the first place. So you need to solve each problem as it comes. First, content market fit, then conversion optimization. And no matter how good your content looks, if it doesn't connect with your audience emotionally, it won't drive results, right? And this is the whole point of TikTok, Instagram, the short form platforms. If you're looking for a conversion, you need to have an emotional trigger. People need to feel something in order to go and download your app, in order to go and search for your product, right? So for you to see what kind of intent is already in the market, there's a lot of ways, but scraping TikTok comments, scraping subreddits and seeing what people care about in your niche, app store reviews from competitors, right? And you could even, rank the emotional triggers with frequency, intensity, how they convert to monetization when you can make that correlation. You can run audience surveys, right? Basically what you would do is you then make content around those things, make content around those topics that already are emotional triggers for your ICP, for the ideal customer that you're going for, and you'd put all your volume there and promote anything that reaches 5K or more views, right? Because if you get a video that goes to 5K views with around 8 to 10% engagement rate, so with around 500 likes, 5K views, that's a very clear signal that people care about that video. That's a very clear signal that the next phase is going to go to, for example, 100K views, 1 million views. So that's the first step where you want to go, okay, I want to validate my content till I get a few pieces in that 5K view range. And from there, putting all that volume again in those exact same formats with those exact same styles that got those 5K views to begin with. And that's how you're going to see the next stage, like 100K views. And then you repeat this cycle, right? Now, the question is, how do you scale this without breaking the system? So if your creators are just dropping random files or dropping random videos and posting whenever they feel like, your brand, your app is leaking growth with every post, right? So you're just being completely inefficient. You're paying creators that are not doing a good job because you're not giving them any direction, right? So you'd want to launch with a small team. If you don't have experience with UGC campaigns, you want to launch with max 5 creators, right? With 30 to 60 videos per month max, right? That would be, 150, 300 original videos. The amount of coverage you get with 150 50, let's say, original creatives. By just taking those and posting everywhere you can is 4x, 5x, 6x, right? In terms of input, and the difference it could make in terms of the results you get is that 1000x potential return, because you never know where content is going to resonate first. If you have the system set, just going back to what I said about getting to those first few 5K view videos, what you want to do is you want to have some sort of system to manually review and log why the winners were winners. So go back, take the video, see the patterns, right? You can go in the back end on your accounts and see the retention rates and see where people are dropping off. And you want to manually take notes and understand, okay, why did this work? What did I say? How was the script? How was the style of the video, etc. And you want to make that the new normal going forward so that everyone you have in your team, as far as creators go, pivots to that. Next is something that nobody talks about, but is actually one of the most important parts you want to look at to build enterprise value, to build inherent value to your company, right? If you want to scale, if you want to exit, whatever you want to do, which is the account setup. No one thinks about how important setting up your ownership of these accounts until you run into issues in the long term. If you lose access to content, to accounts, or to data mid-campaign, you can literally destroy months of work. You can be spending 3-6 months building these campaigns, hiring creators, firing creators. After tens of thousands of dollars spent, everything just goes down the drain because you didn't have access to the accounts the way you should. This might sound like a no-brainer, but many people wait until it's too late or until they have lost a lot of the access, a lot of the things they worked for, and they miss their window of opportunity. The main thing you want to do is creators will say yes, yes, yes. They will agree to give you the logins, to give you the accounts, etc. But then when it comes time for you to actually log in, for you to actually take control of those accounts, when the campaign ends or when they're fired, whatever it is, it's just super hard because you have confirmation codes on emails that you've never seen. You have confirmation codes on numbers that aren't yours, right? So what you want to do is from day one, you want to log in, you want to make sure you have those accounts in your phone. You want to make sure that at least you've logged in, at least the email recovery is yours. Or if you're working with someone like us, we do that for you. But if you're working independently with creators, you want to do that on day one. If you can set, anything like a password storage, like 1Password, for example, team or yourself, actually logging in those accounts while your engagement with these creators is active so that you can retain the access to those accounts once it ends. Now, how do you source creators? Sourcing creators who consistently go viral is a skill in itself. Too many app developers get burned out working with creators who send random drafts, miss deadlines, just have super low quality content. I think there's this misconception that people think you just go in these groups or you just search on Twitter and you find thousands of creators. Couldn't be further from the truth, because this is super hard. For you to get to the actual good creators, you need to pay them a bunch, and you'll find them normally on TikTok Shop as top affiliates, and you'll pay them several thousands of dollars a month as base plus the bonuses they get. And if you're not working with those, if you want to hire like students or smaller creators, it's a super skill to find these people, right? Because most of them will be inconsistent. These people are young, right? They'll be inconsistent. They won't care about posting in time. They'll maybe, spend a few days without warming up the account. The account will get shadow banned, and you are the one that suffers with this, right? So you need to make sure you set a system for yourself for getting these creators that works and that gives you the right people. That doesn't mean the strategy doesn't work, just means it's hard, right? The problem usually isn't the creator, it's the onboarding process. It's the process while you're working with these creators. And I saw the calendar of one of the founders, and he had weekly calls with all of their creators, and it was like 200 creators. It was insane, right? Had one-on-ones, weekly calls. The calendar was just packed. So that's the level of effort you want to get to. Either you or someone in your team, you need to have contact with these creators. You can have the best onboarding process as well, but if you're not in contact with them on a daily, they will miss. Onboarding process, what you want to do is you want to have very clear brief on what your product is, what it does, what the benefits are, what the pain points people face to come and use your product are, who your ICP, so who you're targeting, who your ideal clients are. So these are just product briefs. Having a huge brief doesn't mean it's better. Doesn't mean creators are going to read it. So make sure you make it short, straight to the point with these things, because these are the ones that are most influential in content. If creators have that, you can then always piggyback on that for them to create new content styles, new content angles. Here's the exact blueprint to actually source and onboard creators who will not only grow your app, but will also help you build long-term wealth. You can use, for example, vetted networks. Vetted networks being you can partner up with people who have UGC communities who train creators. There's lots of these. There's, for example, Owen from Content Circle, who's a good friend of our company. He trains creators. I'm sure there's lots of communities like this you can reach out to and partner up with, because they already do the kind of hard work and they have people who want to learn, who want to work. So that's perfect. Using vetted networks like creator communities who actually train creators, that's great. You'll find great creators there. You can then use platforms like Twitter, TikTok search, Instagram. Ideally, if you're doing outreach, you'll do TikTok and Instagram as far as social media platforms go. go, because that's where, you know, the best creators live, and you want to reach out directly to them. And then you have, for example, email campaigns if you want to go at scale. If you're skilled in outbound, you can just, you know, smash email campaigns, cold email campaigns to lists of creators. The way this works for someone who has no experience in this, you go to, you know, any database of creators. You have, for example, topyappers.com is a great database. You go there, you export the creators with the filters that you want. That'll give you the emails, that'll give you their names, etc. You can use something as Smart Lead, for example, to get a few email inboxes where you can now send emails to these creators. You can have lists of tens of thousands of creators where you're automatically reaching out to them, you're getting answers, and then you set up a process to get them in the calendar. Like you have a VA or you have someone in your team replying to interested people with like a calendar link with some form answers. How you want to filter creators when they come in to meet your team. By the way, you have to meet creators. I want to say that again. But when they come in, you want to filter them by their lifetime organic views, right? Not UGC paid ads work. No one cares about that. Lifetime organic views. You want to look at their actual social media accounts. You want to look at past work they've done organically, accounts they've created for other clients, accounts they've created for other apps, etc. And you want to look at those metrics. You don't want to look at videos, quality of videos, doesn't matter, right? If they know how to talk on FaceTime, they have the skill needed, right? It's nothing much. Now, you want to see proof that they can go viral. So with the right training, these creators can produce over 150 videos in 10 days. Obviously, you don't want to go full blast in the beginning, but that's the point where everything starts to really come together. When it comes to high volume production, most people will test like 3 to 5 videos because they want to see quality before anything else. But volume is key because it accelerates learning and it compounds. These platforms like TikTok, like Instagram, they will tell you, they will show you exactly why your videos are not working, what your retention rates are looking like, whatever. You just default to volume, okay? If you don't have proper training, focus on finding people who have gone viral in the past and then focus on getting them to do as much volume as possible. Those are the main things. But the whole thing is, if you're just posting without the strategy, leaving videos up, winging it, you'll never see results and you'll end up spending tens of thousands of dollars for nothing, right? So you need to put a lot of effort into this for this to work, but it's so worth it because once it does, you don't need to worry about anything else, right? You can just take the winners, run paid ads behind them, and get everyone to do the same thing as the winners did. That's it. It scales very well. Now, you have to have a creative feedback loop to scale. So a feedback loop would just be, how do you scale the winner? So you look at the winner, you see, what did this person say? Like I was saying before, when did they stop? How is it edited? What topics is the person talking about? Is there anything visual I should be looking at, right? What's the hook? You create a feedback loop based on those things that made that winner. And the winner is not just a video that goes viral. It's a video that actually drives installs that you can cross-check with your internal dashboards. And you can see, okay, when this video went viral, we actually had a spike in installs, okay? That's very important. That's where growth actually happens. But without the proper measurement, without being there, looking at that data, having that data in the first place, you're not following a strategy. You can convince yourself you are because you have a brief or whatever it is, but you're not. You're not following a strategy if you don't have data. You're just posting and, you know, hoping something works. How do you actually make your winners go exponential? Let's run some math here. If you have one viral video, it can become 15 and one creator can become 50, okay? So if you just get one hit, like one viral video and move on, you're never going to scale. It's never going to be repeatable. You're never going to have an organic growth engine. You need to multiply it. So let's say you have 5 creators in your team. At all times, you'll have around 10 to 20% of all creators pulling 80, 90% of the weight. But what do you do when you find the winner? You get that creator who found the winner to double their frequency of posting. So if they were posting once a day, they start posting 2. And you get them to now only do videos in that style, in that format. Then you get the rest of the team that was not performing. You get them to now, with the frequency they're at, just post things in that style. Then you go and look for more creators, right? Then you scale the team. Why? Because you want to get more people to find more styles and ultimately double down. In this whole process, if a creator is not getting to the 5, 10K view threshold within 10 days of you giving them a clear winner parameter, right? Here's the checklist, Mr. Creator, of what you need to do. If within 10 days they don't get to a winner in their account, 5, 10K views, at least you cut them. That's it. That's how it works. So you duplicate top videos across 5 to 10 new creators. You'd remix, you know, different hooks, different hook styles, different captions, and you'd see how that correlates with watch time. You'd see how that correlates with any spikes of installs. And then basically you just use those videos to piggyback on like conversion. So what I mean by this is, if you have a viral video, you'll have a bunch of comments. So you can use then those comments to make new videos, right? So if you go to a comment on TikTok and you click reply, you can reply with a video, right? So when you get a viral video, if it didn't convert, or even if it did, you can just go to a comment that's kind of controversial, get the creator to reply to that with a talking head video, just going over your app and why your app is great, pin that that to the profile, and there you have it, right? So you have all these different strategies you can go into after you actually find content market fit that are great. There you have it. Now you've seen the exact system that has generated over $10 million with zero ad spend. The only question is, are you going to build yours, or are you gonna keep hoping ads or influencers work again? If you want more direct help with scaling your app, make sure to click the first link in the description to work with us. You'll get the exact systems on how we made all these apps successful, and we've worked with over 150 without spending $1 on ads. Thank you.